Hello everyone, I'm here to discuss the most important current affairs of today from UPSC perspective. The articles have been taken from the Indian Express and the Hindu newspaper. So without a further ado, let's begin. Our first article for today says that the New Delhi has opened its first genome sequencing lab. It will be used for surveillance of new COVID variants. Once the COVID genome sequencing needs are met, the analyzer will be used for analyzing other diseases like thalassemia, sickle cell disease, and hemophilia. So, from UPSC prelims perspective, let us read what is genome sequencing. Genome sequencing is figuring out the order of DNA nucleotides or base in a genome. A genome sequence contains some clues about the whereabouts of the genes. Scientists also hope that being able to study the entire genome sequence will help them understand how the genome as a whole works. Finally, genes account for less than 25% of the DNA in the genome. And so, knowing the entire genome sequence will help the scientist study the parts of the genome outside the genes. Other important point for the prelims 2021 would be the advantages of genome sequencing. So it provides high resolution base by base view of the genome. It captures both large and small variants that might be missed with the targeted approaches. The genome sequencing identifies potential causative variants. Let us also recall the Genome India project launched in 2020. So, taking inspiration from the Human Genome Project, which was in effect from 1990 to 2003 globally, the Department of Biotechnology initiated the ambitious Genome India project or GIP in 2020. It aims to collect 10,000 genetic samples from citizens across India to build a reference genome. The Gene Mapping Project involves 20 leading institutions of the country with the Center for Brain Research of Indian Institute of Science, that is IISc Bangalore, as the nodal point. Let us now look at the objectives of Genome India project. It aims to aid understanding of the nature of the diseases affecting the Indian population. It allows India to draw upon its tremendous genetic diversity, given the series of large migrations historically, and thus add greatly to the current information about the human species. This initiative would help lay the foundation of personalized healthcare for a very large group of the persons on the planet. The next article is an editorial which takes us through India's renewable energy ambitions and then points out four elementary flaws in the process. So, India has set up a 175 gigawatt renewable energy target to be achieved by 2022. Recently, it announced a target of 450 gigawatts by 2030. Also, Mukesh Ambani has recently announced rupees 75,000 crore investment in clean energy. Initiatives of India, like the International Solar Alliance, have won global appreciation. But these facts and figures hide some crucial elementary flaws in India's renewable energy programs. The first issue cited by the editorial is that while substantially increasing the renewable energy share, India is also expanding the fossil fuel extraction and its use. In the pandemic times, India auctioned some 60 new coal mining blocks and several new thermal power stations are being considered. Some of these are even in the biodiverse forest of the central India. This is a news grab from June 18, 2020, which talks about the same point. Thus, overall carbon impact will keep going up even as the share of renewable energy rises. Although the investment in public transport has been increased in Budget 2021, there is no discouragement provided to the private car holders. The second issue is that India includes mega hydropower projects in its renewable energy programs, despite the ecological and social implications. The recent floods and landslides of Uttarakhand are the evidences how devastating it could turn out to be if the ecological balance is not maintained. The third issue pointed out in the article is that the renewable energy production model in India is mostly mega park type. These projects have These projects have serious ecological and social impacts. About 60,000 hectares of Kutch's ecologically fragile grassland desert ecosystem have been allotted to energy megaparks. The target of 100 gigawatt solar energy by 2022 also includes 40 gigawatt rooftop solar, but it has been poorly executed. On the other hand, the Delhi government has installed rooftop solar devices in 150 government schools, saving 8.8 crore and also earning 8.5 crore by selling the power to the grid. The last issue pointed out in the article is that even if we shift to electric vehicles, the increased demand for a constant and high supply of electricity to charge these vehicles and keep them up and running will force us to opt for fossil generated electricity, thus defeating the purpose of shifting to electric automobiles. The article also mentions certain remedies like improved solar rooftop installation in government schools, colleges, offices, and other public spaces. The article points out that consumer behavior should be shaped by coercing or incentivizing them to become less wasteful and more sustainable in their choices. The article gives the example of the architecture of schools and buildings made by the Sekmol group in Ladakh and Kutch that have dramatically reduced the electricity use. The net zero carbon targets should not be the center of our efforts, rather, sustainable shift towards renewable energy should be the motto. The last article for today talks about the Assam government's bid to promote the local items in government programs. So the Chief Minister of Assam has ordered that only traditional food items and traditional scarves will be used in government programs. So the Chief Minister asked for the usage of gamosa, which is a traditional multi-purpose scarf towel. It is important from the prelims point of view that this gamosa is GI tagged. Other notable mentions include the pitha and laru, which are traditional snacks of Assam. So now we are done with the news of today. Let us look at certain static topics. Which of the following statements is or are correct about the PM Kisan scheme? It is a centrally sectored scheme. Under the scheme, an income support of Rs 6,000 per year in 3 equal installments will be provided to small and marginal farmer families having combined land holding or ownership of up to 1 hectare. The third point says that all persons and farmers who paid income tax in the last assessment year are not eligible for the scheme. Let us look at the first point again. It says that it is a centrally sectored scheme. This one is wrong because the scheme PM Kisan is a centrally sponsored scheme. That means the 100% allocation has been done by the central government or the union government. Under the scheme, income support of 6,000 per year, this is correct. In 3 equal installments, this is also correct. Provided to the small and marginal farmer families, this is also correct. But land holdings of up to 1 hectare is wrong. It should have been 2 hectares. The third point is absolutely correct. Which of the following statements is true regarding the governor of the state? The governor is appointed by the President of India but does not hold office during the pleasure of the President. This statement is false because the governor holds the office during the pleasure of the President. The office of governor is part of the union executive. This is also false because he is not the part of union executive. The governor can reserve certain bills of legislature for consideration of the President. So this statement is absolutely correct. Our option is option C. Which of the following statements is true about the Legislative Council of the state? The Parliament can form or abolish the Legislative Council of a state only if the State Legislative Assembly passes the resolution for the same by a special majority of 2/3 of the members present and voting and 50% of the strength of the House. This statement is absolutely correct. The governor nominates 12 persons to the Legislative Council. This statement is false because the governor nominates 1/6 of the total members in the Legislative Council. The minimum members in the Legislative Council should be 40. This statement is absolutely correct. So the correct option is option C. So that's all for today from my side. Do write in the comment section if you have any query regarding a particular topic. Thank you so much.